Hello, creatives. Welcome to a kid called Beast's Maker Session. In this session, we have Juan, and today we're diving into composition and camera tips. Here's an example of what we are making today. Let's get started.
Welcome guys back to another maker session. We have Juanito.
Hola, hola guys, what's up, what's up? So,
I'm blowing Juan up real quick because you don't know for how long I've been trying to get him to do a maker session. So we finally got him locked in.
it's locked in
We
guys,
good.
it's locked in. Perfect. So let me know if you guys can see the stream perfectly. I'm using a helper right here so you guys can also see where I'm clicking and just to be a little bit more helpful. So right off the bat, I'm
Yeah.
using 4.2. I'm not gonna be using any add-ons or anything. I'm gonna be directly just doing it from Blender and using the compositing tools from Blender. So everything's gonna be free. And if there is any add-ons, I will post them on the community forum, just so you guys can utilize those. They're really cool add-ons, and some of them are paid, but we are a community, so I'll for sure just share them with you guys so that you guys can also benefit off that. But first things first is I'm gonna be using Blender Kit. This is an add-on that is really well that you can utilize. I have a few scenes already set up in here that I have made, so we're gonna be using today this spooky voxel one. We're gonna open it up and we're just gonna append it to our scene. So right away, as you guys can see here, we have like a bunch of stuff. It might seem kind of confusing, but realistically, all you want to do is just click 0 and it'll put you in the first camera. On your right over here, you have your scene collection. This is where you can change to have different camera angles. And if we go to our different viewport shading, this is where you can get different like cool solid like textures. On this one, you can change it to like different materials. If you go to this, you can get like these looks. So this is really cool for you if you want to utilize it for just making like before and after shots, like how it looks now and then prior to how it looks. So it's really good to utilize these and just have like an idea of maybe how your rendered scene might look in the solids viewport. So this is how you utilize it. All you got to do is just click the solids, bring down this tab, and you can select the different colors, textures, different materials, and just have fun with it. One thing that I love doing with Blender is just clicking things and messing around, because you always find different stuff that can be beneficial to your workflow, or just, if you just want to see different ways of viewing your scene. A lot of the times I like having like a viewport that is in this side with my solids, and then what I'll do is just open up another tab and actually work in this one in my cycles viewport. So as you can see here, this is my cycles viewport and this is my solids viewport. So in this, the way that I would do it is I would work in my scene on this side, and then on this side, I'm able to see kind of how my scene is starting to look with actual textures and colors and the compositing. Another thing too is we have live compositing on this. That's one thing that people forget about, and it's really useful for your scenes. I'm going to show you how to utilize this. So we're going to close this tab on the right side, and we're going to open up this, which is going to be the cycles viewport. So here we're going to go to the compositing tab, and I'm going to show you the compositings I have set up already, because this is a pre-made Blender Kit scene. So as you guys can see right here, we have the glare, we have the fog glow, and we also have the bloom, and we have a lens distortion. So right away, I'm just going to delete these, and we're going to make our own. So the best way to do it is you can do Shift A to open up and search for your own stuff. So what I usually add first is a glare, which is the basic node. You want to connect this one to the image node, so image to image, and then you also want to connect the image to the composite. So now we have a streaks, and let's say we have a rendered image of just our basic preview right here. We just want to render that real quick. So we'll get a basic quick render of this. And as you can see, our compositing is already showing these stars. We can switch up these stars by just making sure that we have a viewport here. So remember, all we did was we just opened up a new little tab on this left side. And on here, we're going to change from compositor to image editor. And on image editor, all you look up is render results. and it will show your image that you rendered. And on here now we can actually see what we're adjusting. So from streaks we can use bloom. This will give it a little bit more of a glow effect. And you can mess with the values. One thing that I really suggest for you to do is just mess around with Blender. That is the best suggestion that I can give you. Tweak with the stuff, tweak around with the different values, the quality of them. Go through the different types of glare types. There's a simple star. There's also a streaks, which is really cool. There's also a ghost. This ghost is utilized kind of like as a lens flare. A lot of the times when I have like a sun or a really bright light, as you guys can see, this one is reflecting off of these windows. You can get like a nice little glare look just by adjusting the values and putting it to low and just tweaking with it. That's the best thing that I can suggest for tweaking it. Next, what we'll add is also another one. So what you can do is Shift D. We'll open up the same one, but we'll just copy it. We can add a bloom now to pretty much add a little bit more of details to our scene. And then again, we can adjust all of the values. Everything can be tweaked to your preference. And then from here, we can also add a lens distortion. That's one of the things that I love adding to my final renders. I usually put about 40 to 50. Most people, they don't do nothing else from here, but I love to use fit just because it will adjust it and add like a little bit of chromatic aberration to my corners here. And then another thing that I can do is I can add a what is it called here? Oh yeah, that is all perfect. Cool. So that's the three nodes that we were using, which is just a ghost, which is a bloom, and then our lens distortion. So now let's say maybe you want to see how it looks on your actual playback from your actual scene that you're viewporting it. You're able to look at the compositor and you're always able to enable it or disable it. At the moment it's currently disabled, as you can see, but let's say you want to see how your nodes of your compositing look. You can actually see that live in action. So it's a really cool trick where it just helps you in your scenes. Let's say you have your final render that you just did, which was your image that you rendered. A lot of the times you would have to render your image just to see how the final compositing is. But this is a really good way to see how your final output of your compositing will look live. And then from here too, you can just open up your compositor down here. And then while you're watching it live, you're able to adjust everything and just give it that look that you want on the final render. Perfect. So that's the first steps with just compositing and just how this is already set up. That's something that is already going to be for you to adjust and tweak with. Nodes are really cool because you can open them up on different projects and just like copy either the nodes, or if you want, you can just kind of copy the setup that they have, because a lot of the times all of these are searchable nodes that you can just apply. So just Shift A and you can search everything that you want here just to apply and connect. And yeah, so that is with the compositing. That is our camera stuff. Again, here we have different cameras. We have 5 different cameras that we set up. These cameras that we'll be using real quick, they're pre-attached here, so they already pretty much are just like in a placement. They're not keyframed, they're not animated, they're just in a position. So I'm gonna be showing you just like a cool little few tricks that I utilize for my workflow for just making cool little camera movements and just subtle movements. So for this one, I'm just gonna be going into a vertical preview just so we can have like a real style format here. So for the first camera is I'm gonna be showing you guys how to create markers. These markers are really good for adding different cameras in your scenes, because a lot of the times the way that I used to do it was I would pretty much render one scene and render a whole another scene and stitch them up together, and that was taking me so much time. And sadly, that is something that, you know, it can take a lot of just effort, and you know, you just want to make sure that you have a good workflow. So this is something that I learned kind of by myself in a few tutorials. So the best thing to do is we're gonna animate our cameras. We're gonna be using empties. Empties are really fun to use because you can do so many cool things with these. So we're gonna add one empty here. You can pick any type of empty. Usually I pick a circle. We're gonna name this empty focus. So this will be our focus point where we want our camera to track to. So now we'll select our camera. As you guys can see, we're selecting cam 1. We're gonna go into the data tab here, and you can adjust the focal length. You can adjust everything that you want on here. So usually right now we'll be utilizing a 28mm. Shout out to my boy Sazzy for letting me know about that. That's very good focal length. We're gonna be utilizing this focal length for here, and then we're also gonna be adding a constraint tab. So we're still selecting our camera. We're gonna go to our constraints right here, right above the data. It's gonna be constraints. We're gonna select it. We're gonna select track 2, and then from track 2 you want to look up your empty, which was called focus. That's what we named it. And from here now you can mess around with the values of your location X, Y, and Z. You can do some movements from your left and right. You can do some movements to go front, back. You can do some movements to go up and down. And these will be movements that are just locked in to that empty. So let's say our empty, we move it around, our camera will also move. So you can either animate the empty or you can add keyframes to your camera. Either way, you'll have some movement on both of them. So for this one, what I'm just going to be doing is adding some keyframes to my camera. So first, I'm going to start off from the bottom. We'll start off on frame 0. We're going to go to frame 60. We're going to go up a bit. So as you guys can see here already, that is already some movement to our first camera. And then we're going to go to cam 2, and we're going to add a little bit of movement here. But for this one, we'll make sure that we adjust it just a bit. So our camera is going to be in a 0 on the rotation on the Y. And we're going to add one empty here. And we're going to also add a curve. We're going to be adding a circle here. You can adjust your circle maybe kind of outside where it's in this area here. And then we're going to be selecting our origin, which is this. We want to select it, and we'll put it here. We'll select our camera, Shift S, select the cursor. Now you want to select the camera, and then you also want to select the Bezier circle that we just added. Control P, follow path. So now we have a path of it going in circles, but it's not following anything. So for this, what we'll do is we'll want it to focus maybe, let's say, in the center. So we'll keep it here. And we'll also add another empty. So here's our empty. We'll put it right here towards the center. We're going to click our camera. And then while our camera has been selected, we're going to be selecting again the constraints tab. We'll rename this to focus 2. Again, select your camera. On the constraints, look up focus 2. And now we are centered in the middle. So we'll just be going around our empty pretty much. So here we already have 2 movements. So we have our first one, which is our going up shot. And then our second shot will be the Bezier circle shot, which is just a circular shot here. So for this, what you can do as well is you can expand this, make it really, really wide. You can adjust it, you can rotate it, you can do different things. If you want to, you can also enter the edit tab, and we will just reset this. We will enter the edit tab. Once we are in the edit tab, you're able to make some certain points here that you can tweak. So for example, I will select this one and I will move it here. I can go up, make different points just to adjust them. Let's say this one, I want it to go up more, go above the car. Perfect. You can just make different adjustments to your circle. And then once you have your cameras that you want, we're going to be making some markers. So for the first camera, simply just make sure that you're selecting your first camera, which is cam. We're going to press M while it's being selected. Control B. So as you can see, we have already marked one camera down here. we're going to be adding our circular camera, which is our Bezier, which is cam 2. Select the camera. We're going to press M, Control B. So now we have 2 cameras, and if we press play, you're going to see that we have 2 movements. And here now you can just adjust your angle, or let's say if there's any obstructions, anything, you can just move it from here. Keep it nice and clean. Bring it up higher if you want. Remember, it's going to be following just as empty. So use the empty as a control point. Let's say you kind of want to have it focused over here in this area, or maybe just on the bones. You can do a lot of cool stuff. We're going to be hiding this because it's just a PNG plane. So now, as you can see, we have a going up shot. And now we have our circular shot that is focused on that. And then let's say maybe here we want to add another cool shot before it kind of goes into the trees. We're going to go to our cam 3. From our cam 3, we're able to either add a point here or a marker here. So we're going to add a point, marker. So that's already going to be a different shot right when it hits that point. Here, we're not going to add any type of constraints or anything. We're just going to add a basic keyframe to this camera just so that it can go back. So we just have it lifted up and just go back. So we're going to add a keyframe here for the first one. And then the last shot, we'll keep it at 180. We'll just go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. You could just adjust it where you want it to be, what area kind of want it to affect. So now if we play back, you guys can see that we have now 3 cameras marked. So from this now, you can just adjust it. Let's say you don't want it to be going up that high. You can do that. Perfect. You can add some movement to it. Let's say you wanted to do like a cool little shot. Just press, make your Y. Usually what I do is just a cool little rotating trick is I press on my rotation. I just press 0. I go here maybe a little bit. On the same Y, I pull my ratios just a little bit down. I adjust my values. Add a keyframe there. And just go back to another frame. And just go back to 0 just so you can add like a cool little dynamic look. Remember, you can always adjust everything for example, like the depth of field. You can actually utilize that for movement. We're going to be showing you how to do that. So you can do some basic keyframes by just adjusting it on the focal length. So right now it's on 11. We wanted to zoom in kind of a little bit on this frame, and then we wanted to go back here to 11. So now as you guys can see, the camera not only is it going to have that movement, but it's going to have kind of like a zoom in, zoom out effect, like a little dolly zoom. So it looks really cool. Really weird effect. And then there's also a few add-ons that you can add, like shake to. You can add movements. But one really simple way to do it is if you use the noise and graph editor. So for this first camera, we're going to just be adding some basic shake. So for this cam, as you guys can see, there's not a lot of movement. It's very simple. So first I'm going to be showing you how the add-on works, and then I'm going to be showing you how we can apply it to this shot here. So the add-on that I'm going to be utilizing is called Shakeify. Shakeify is free. I will be providing that on the community forums if anybody wants to download it. It is free. You can adjust the different types of values. There's a bunch of different types of presets here. There's a close-up, there's a wedding, there's a bunch of different things that you can go through and mess around with. The one that I use the most is usually investigation, walk to the store, and handy cam run. Those are like my favorites. I usually keep the values between 50 and 70 just to give it like a nice little rough look. As you can see here on the right side or on my left side, there's a little bit of movement. If we turn it off, you guys can see there's nothing. And then the movement here gives it a little bit more of a like real life shake and realism to it. So it's really nice to add that. We're going to be applying that shake to this camera if you don't have the add-on. So one really simple way to do that is just make sure that you don't have any keyframes on your Z axis, which is going to be on the location. you want to make sure that you just click the Z, add a keyframe. Doesn't matter if it's 0, 1, whatever it is. You can just adjust that keyframe. Make sure that there is a keyframe there. Go into the graph editor. Select your camera, and we'll be adjusting the Z. So look for Z. Select Z. On modifiers, we'll be selecting the noise. And on this noise now, as you guys can see, we have a little bit of movement here. So we can adjust that movement with this value right here, with the scale. So the best way that I do it is I adjust my strength first, which is going to be how much it moves. My scale is how much movement I want it to be, like the roughness of it. So usually I don't want it to shake a lot, because if not, it's going to look too vibrant and just too much vibration. We don't want it to be too vibraty for us. We just want it to be smooth. So what I do is I just kind of scale this up a bit so it can be very subtle. Scale it down, matter of fact. I'm at negative 13. So I scale it down to negative 13. And it just adds a very subtle movement. It doesn't do too much. It doesn't go crazy. It just adds a little up and down. You guys can see the movement here. You're able to adjust it. You're able to adjust the graphs. So that's one way to add some little shake. The add-on will be provided on the community forum if anybody wants to utilize that. So that is currently 3 cameras that we have set up here. We're going to be going back to our timeline, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to actually do like a playback of this, which is a play blast. So a play blast is really great to utilize for, again, people that are rendering animations or just camera movements that they want to see their actual playback. The best way to do that is by first making sure that your output is set up to a certain folder. I'm going to be utilizing this folder here, which is my stuff where I render my scenes and stuff. So I'm going to be also changing the file format to FMPEG video, and the encoding will be changed to also MPEG-4. And you can adjust the output quality to however you want. I'm just going to put high quality just so we can get a nice playback. So here right away, if you wanted to get a preview of your animation, most people would render directly, render an animation here. And this is going to take a while just to see how it actually looks. But if you want just like a pretty much like a playback result of how your animation is going to be, how the movement is going to be, how the cameras are going to be moving and activating, then I feel like this is the best way, just so that you won't waste a lot of time. And it's really quick to do if your scene isn't really heavy. So the first thing is, again, adjust your output to FMPEG. Make sure that you have a render folder specified for that. So then once you are ready, let's say you have your scene ready and it's, you know, ready to test, and before you render it, you kind of want to know how it's going to look. And a lot of the times people have issues with the playback because it would be laggy or it's just going to be very stuttery. So the best way to do it is you want to make sure, we're going to be closing this side just so we can focus. You want to make sure that you are on the solids preview. And let's say you all have these things activated. You don't want them to pop up. Just make sure you hide them. And let's say you also want to change the solids material. You can change it here. You can adjust it. This is another cool material that I like to use. But for this one, we'll be using texture just so you guys can see a little bit. So the best way to do your guys' playback blast, or blast playback, whatever you want to call it, is actually to go on view, viewport, render animation, and like that right away you will get a quick render of your actual playback that you can actually see again on your computer before you, let's say, you put it into a render farm or you actually let your computer cook up at night. So the way you see that now is you can either view your render here, or you can actually open up your render folder, and our actual animation that we actually just rendered at this moment will be here. So as you guys can see, our playback was quick. This is a really good way to see how your cameras are going to be activated, how the movements are going to be from your characters, because a lot of the times maybe your character is jittery or he's kind of like doing some weird stuff, and before you know it, you kind of just spent 2, 3, 4 hours letting it render, and you're not satisfied with it. So the best way to utilize this is to use playbacks for your actual camera movements, your simulations, any type of thing that you want to utilize it for. Um, Playback blasting is the way. So that is one good tip to utilize. Very simple. Again, we're going to go into the view. You can also render an image. So let's say you just want to render a quick image. So let's say this, which is not actually our cycles viewport. We're going to go into our solids. We're going to change this to this material here. And we're going to select view. And then again, viewport render animation. We'll change it up again. This one. Viewport render animation. And it'll render the actual animation playback of how your final render should actually look. So once that has been done, again, you can utilize that to add to your workflow of seeing the playback, just so that it can work good, and just have a better idea of how your final scene output is going to come out to. Because a lot of times, again, we spend a lot of hours rendering and just seeing how it's coming out, but we don't actually see the final like playback speed of it. And that can cause issues when you're finally trying to, export your project. You're not going to be satisfied. And these are just ways that you can kind of prevent it from like you to, create a whole different file project, or just lose motivation to your project because, you ruined it and now you have to go back and mess with it. So utilize these things to just apply to your workflow and manage, to make your workflow easier and faster, because a lot of times we spend a lot of hours working on these scenes, and for you to make something really cool and not have it how you want it to be can be kind of frustrating and demotivating. And I've been in that position, so this is just something that I utilize for my workflow, and it's really, really good because, again, I can use this before I put it in a render farm, or I can utilize it for any type of things where it's just going to be beneficial for myself and not waste time. So that is talking about viewport playback. We also talked about how to use a compositor. We talked about how to make some markers on our camera, and we also talked about how to make some basic camera movements and just using the constraints tab, how to get the actual viewport playback, adjusting the compositing tab, adding some basic nodes, which were just the ghost and the bloom, also the lens distortion. I'm going to be also applying the Shakeify add-on, which is free. I'll be applying it to the community forum, as well as another add-on, which is really great and it's free. And yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I probably was talking too fast, getting ahead of myself. How did I do, Mimi?
No, it was great. It was perfect. Super detailed. There was only one question that I'd seen
Yes.
that Stary had.
Estuardo, what's up, bro? Sorry, I was locked in. I wasn't looking at the thing.
No, yeah, totally fine. I think it's easier to answer questions towards the end, anyways.
Yes.
He said when you parented the camera to the circle, you chose follow path.
Yes, correct. I chose follow path. Yes,
Okay.
correct. You want to make sure that you
Yeah.
follow the path, and then also, real quick, thanks for reminding me about that. Also on the follow path for that circle, you're able to adjust the speed of it too. So if you select it, again, just a circle, that Bezier circle that we added, on the path animation, there is a frames button right there, or a value button that you can adjust. So this, if you put it higher, it'll go slower, as you can see here. And if you put it to a lower value, it'll go super fast, like really, really fast. So this is like really another cool way to adjust it. Let's say you don't want to adjust like the keyframe of the animation, like that if it's spinning, you can actually just select the actual value right there on the path animation and adjust the speed of your movement of the camera, so you won't have any issues with, let's say maybe a keyframe that you don't like, it's jittery or something. Again, just select the circle and go to path animation, and you can adjust the frame value here, the speed. Thanks for letting me know about that.
Panda said this was a good one.
Yes, it was a great one. Hi, Panda.
Typosphere. He said, "How did you make your character act like you?"
Oh,
That's like
so
a
this one here, if you're talking about it, is actually from Get Filter, and I'm actually utilizing a chroma key. So from my actual phone, it's just blue, but via OBS, I'm able to remove the background and have it to where it looks like it's myself, but it's just my body attached to it, and then my filter face is attached to the actual body. But my hands are right here. Look at my hands. Say hello to my little hand. Perfect. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Pi- Pico said if you can come back to show us how to do shape keys for mouth movement.
Of course. Actually, the best way that I recommend you to do is actually download the AR head from the portal. Everybody, if you have a beast, we have these heads available, and you can put them onto any software really. Let's say you want to make a VRM. If you guys are interested in that, I can show you guys maybe for the next class on how to create something like this. And yeah.
Oh yeah, Rustan did a beast streamer as well.
Yeah, no, that's very
It's
good. Like, if you guys have any insight or any tips that you guys want to know for these type of things, these are really great. And nobody has really showed a tutorial on how to make like a beast filter head like this. But
no.
if you guys are interested, it's just gonna take a little bit of time, maybe like an hour on the session. But if you guys are interested, again, it's very worth it, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good session. And you can
Tiny
customize
has
it
it.
too, because if you're like celebrating Halloween, you can make a Halloween beast head, and you can celebrate and make content with that. Question: how does it feel to never sleep? Bro, um, I don't know. Ever since my dad's surgery, really, I feel like I kind of fucked up my sleeping schedule. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, but I'm here, bro, staying active, and thankfully you guys kind of keep me motivated too, just by seeing everybody's like work and creations.
Oh, and I hope your dad is doing good.
Thank you. He's doing amazing. Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
that's good. But does anybody have any questions? If you want, write in the chat. Don't be shy.
Yeah, guys, ask some questions. If you guys want anything, let me know. Any tips, any insights, I'm always here to help, even after the blender session. Yes, I'm actually available for commissions, Red. Thanks for asking, bro. If anybody is interested in certain things or just wants cool stuff, let me know. I always work with budgets. I work with, if you got beast points, send me those beast points. I want them all.
All right. Let me.
What was
Once
your
you're like
biggest
done.
obstacle to win in this current project? What do you mean about that? That's a good question. Next time, I would like to know how to animate a rig character. I'm not even a beginner. I'm zero. Yeah, it's very simple. I can show you how to do some cool basic poses. So you can do like maybe some reference poses from superheroes, or just basic stuff on how to make an IK rig with your Mixamo rig, or just basic stuff like that, which is really cool. Or even how to
DC.
retarget characters. I feel like that's something that we can do, where I give you guys some TikTok animation dances or some viral dances, and then you guys are able to learn how to retarget those from the armature to your beast, which is gonna be really cool. And you can apply it to your bit beast too. The bit beasts are the great to do it with because they don't have fingers. Balaclava issues. Perfect. As in, you have an idea of what you're cooking, but I can't imagine the times you got stuck. Don't get the vision you have into Blender. Also possible you didn't have it. Perfect. So the best way that I feel like I can like bypass like those little like mountains of like not feeling motivated or just not finding my way with certain projects is honestly just I watch like a lot of videos and a lot of stuff that's on the internet. A lot of times I feel like that can kind of mess up your motivation because you feel like you're copying others. But realistically, I feel like the best way to do it is just to copy and get inspired, just make it better. A lot of the times, either you can create better, or you can just get practice from trying to recreate that thing. It's all about how you kind of see it. A lot of the times now in this space, there's a lot of people that can motivate you or be against you, and you got to kind of surround yourself with people that are pushing you and just want to see better for you. And thankfully, like, this community has been just one of those that, like, I post something really cool, people like it and they support it, and you know, it's something where if they see it and they like it, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna rock with it, even if it's bad, even if you feel like it's not the coolest thing ever, somebody's gonna like it and support it. So having that mindset is gonna be great. I feel like that's something that myself I've seen in the beginning. I've never been the best at these, and I don't even call myself the best, but I just feel like I enjoy what I do with Blender, and you know, I stay motivated.
And that's a wrap. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. See you in our next maker session.